Emily's heart raced as she stepped out of the taxi and onto the dimly lit street. Tonight was their 12th wedding anniversary, a night she had envisioned for weeks, filled with laughter, soft music, and a flickering candlelight dinner. But something felt off. The city was quiet, unnervingly quiet, as if it were holding its breath with her. The keys trembled in her hand as she reached for the apartment door, a gnawing unease settling deep in her chest. She pushed the door open, expecting to hear Michael's familiar voice, his teasing, "Happy anniversary, my love," or the soft clink of glasses as he prepared a surprise. Instead, silence greeted her. The faint scent of perfume, rich, unfamiliar, snaked through the air. Her stomach churned. Something was wrong. Her eyes scanned the living room, frozen in horror. Michael was there, yes, but not alone. Draped over the couch, his hands where they should never be, were a woman, tall, confident, wearing a dress that shimmered under the soft light. Her laughter, low and malicious, cut through Emily like a knife. Michael's head jerked toward the door as she stepped in. "Emily, you're home early," he said, his voice smooth, almost rehearsed. But the eyes, the way they avoided hers, spoke volumes. The woman on the couch turned her gaze toward Emily, a slow, triumphant smile curling on her lips. "Happy anniversary," she said, her tone dripping with mockery. Emily's hands shook as the bouquet of roses she had bought that morning slipped through her fingers, petals scattering across the floor like fragments of her shattered trust. For a moment, Emily couldn't breathe. The world blurred, a strange haze forming around the edges of her vision. Every late night, every business trip, every whispered excuse now flashed in her mind like an unstoppable slideshow of deceit. Her husband, the man she had loved with everything in her being, had lied to her for months, maybe years. Don't you dare!" Emily's voice was hoarse, a mix of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. How long has this been going on?" Michael straightened, brushing invisible lint from his shirt, as if Emily's presence were a minor inconvenience. "Does it really matter now?" he said, the arrogance in his tone making her blood boil. Emily's knees trembled, but she stood her ground, staring at the two of them. "It matters because I trusted you. I gave you my heart, my life, my everything. And you threw it all away." The woman laughed again, a cold, malicious sound that made Emily's skin crawl. "Well, seems like he's better at lying than loving," she said, leaning back with self-satisfied ease. Emily's chest tightened, a storm raging inside her. Her vision sharpened, and the first tears burned her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not now. Not to him. Michael tried to step forward, but Emily's hand shot out, stopping him. "No. Don't come near me. You don't get to touch me. Not now. Not ever. Every lie, every betrayal, every whispered I love you you ever gave me, it's all a weapon you wielded against my heart. And tonight it's over." The woman frowned, sensing the shift. Emily's silence now carried a dangerous weight. This was no longer a shocked, crying wife. This was a woman who had seen the darkness of betrayal and emerged burning with righteous fury. Emily walked slowly past them, her every step deliberate, echoing in the apartment. She picked up her scattered roses, pressing them to her chest as if to reclaim the fragments of her broken heart. Without a word, she opened the door and stepped into the night, leaving behind the man she had once loved and the woman who had stolen him. Days later, she watched from a distance as Michael's life began to crumble. Friends she thought were loyal turned away, whispers followed him wherever he went, and the woman who had once smiled so triumphantly now avoided his gaze, repelled by the chaos he could no longer control. Emily saw his arrogance fade into paranoia, his charm dissolve into desperation. He had built his life on lies, and now those lies were devouring him. Emily herself changed too. The pain of betrayal had carved her into something stronger, sharper. She no longer needed his love or approval. Her nights were no longer filled with anxious wondering. She slept with a quiet peace, a rare smile tugging at her lips. One evening, months later, she received a call. It was Michael, his voice breaking, pleading for forgiveness, for a second chance. She listened silently, letting his words hang in the air, tasting the bitter irony. Every word he uttered, every apology, was too late. The woman who had once been vulnerable, lost, and trusting was gone. She had been replaced by someone unbreakable. Emily's final act of closure was simple. She hung up, feeling a strange mix of relief and triumph. She walked to the window, looking at the city lights below, and whispered to herself, "I am free." In the months that followed, she thrived. New opportunities, new friends, new beginnings. And Michael? He became a cautionary tale, a man consumed by the chaos of his own deceit. Emily never needed to seek revenge. It had found him in the form of lost love, crumbling respect, and spiraling madness. On quiet nights, she would sometimes think back to that anniversary evening, to the moment when her world shattered in front of her eyes. And she would smile, not with joy, but with solemn power. That night had taken everything from her, yes, but it had also given her the most valuable gift: the knowledge of her own strength, the fire that no betrayal could ever extinguish. Every lie he told, every secret he kept, every moment he thought he had control, it had exploded in her face, yes, but from the ashes of that devastation rose a woman who would never again be deceived, never again be broken, and never again let someone else's madness touch her peace. Emily's life moved forward with clarity, purpose, and an unshakable sense of self. And as she watched Michael's descent from afar, a quiet, unspoken justice filled her heart. She had survived the ultimate betrayal, and in surviving, she had become untouchable. The world could crumble, people could lie, hearts could break, but Emily had become something stronger than heartbreak itself. And in that strength, in that silence, lay her ultimate triumph.